guys, it's Dana from MadeEveryday.com. Today I want to show you how to take your love for paper and combine it with sewing to make these really cute little books. It's really easy to make a book. And I started making these about 5 years ago for my kids. We went on a trip and I made these little summer journals, and I wanted them to write something about our adventures each day as we were driving in the car. And it is so fun to go back and look at these pictures and to see the things that we did. I mean, this page, let's see. We're at New Mexico. Look at those yucca trees. I remember those yucca trees. Here we are at Grandma's pool, and I like this page. I got a donut. It was chocolate with sprinkles. It's such a fun memory and keepsake for us. So I thought for my kids, since they love to draw and write things, that I would amp up these books a little bit and make them just, you know, more exciting and hip and all sorts of fun little frills. So here's what you need. Cute cardstock and some paper. You can find some amazing cardstock and scrapbooking paper at Joann Fabric and Craft Stores. I was shopping the other day and I was amazed at some of the things they had that I didn't even know about, such as rose gold glitter paper, pineapples on plastic. They had a bunch of really fun things that, like I said, I wasn't even aware of that existed. And of course they have some standard, just old, great cardstock, 12 by 12 papers, and also in your normal 8.5 by 11 papers. This one is super fun. I like that it is kind of, you can't really tell, but it's a little bit bumpy, so the dots are kind of sticking up. And you can also find these giant, I guess, books of scrapbooking paper. And I happened to pop in on the day that everything was 50% off, so that was even better. And these are fun because you just have a ton of options. So now we're gonna combine this with a little bit of paper and we're gonna head to our sewing machine. Now before we sew these, we wanna trim down our cover a little bit. And we're using cardstock for the outside so that it is a little more sturdy for a book. And then on the inside, we're gonna use normal 8.5 by 11 inch paper. Now you could make your book smaller if you want, or bigger, but I like this size because when you use 8.5 by 11 inch paper, fold it in half, it's just a cute little size book. So I'm taking this 12 by 12 inch paper, cardstock actually, and I'm trimming it down. I'm using a paper cutter here, which is awesome. I love these. If you don't have one, use a pair of scissors and a ruler, good old fashioned stuff like that. Or you could use a rotary cutter and a mat. Okay, trim it down to 8.5 by 11. Or, you know what is kind of nice is to do it just a smidgen over that so that when you fold things, sometimes if you have a lot of pieces, the outside cover can tend to, you know, be a little bit shorter. So I'm gonna do just a smidgen over 11, like that. And a smidgen over 8.5. Okay, I'm gonna cut these and then I'll show you how we combine it with our paper. I've cut all my cardstock and I'm gonna show you how to make a really basic book first and then we'll mix it up a little bit. So take your piece of cardstock, fold it in half, and just give it a little crease. This will help you know exactly where to sew, down the middle, like that. Then I'm gonna take some paper, and I have about 5 sheets here. You can use more than that. Just play around with your machine and see how many sheets it can handle. I'm also gonna fold those in half in one big pile together. Place that in the middle so everything lines up. And then comes time for my favorite Wonder Clips, which you can also find at Joann. These are fantastic. And you wanna place these around the paper so it just holds everything together. Otherwise, things definitely can shift as you're sewing. So just do a few. You know, my kids ask me to make these books all the time for them, they love to make little books, they love to, I don't know, they're always drawing and writing. So I should teach my daughter how to make these so she can make them herself. Okay, now go to your machine and we're gonna sew right along this crease that we folded in half. Okay, do a forward and back stitch. I'm just using standard thread here, nothing different or crazy. So all the way down. Okay. When you get to the end, you want to do a little back stitch again. You can tell my machine is working hard for me. Working hard for your money. Okay, take it off and just like that, fold it in half again. And then I like to really use my ruler or something to press this down like that. My daughter says she hates that sound. It's like nails on a chalkboard for her. So if I just took away part of your soul, I apologize. And look at that, a little book. I mean, what did that take us? Like 30 seconds. Okay, let's add a pocket to our book. How fun does that sound? I'm gonna take another piece like this. The leftovers from my previous book. Oh, clever, right? And I'm gonna sew my pocket onto the inside of the book. In fact, you know what, let's fold this first. You could sew the pocket on the outside too. It's just whatever you wanna do. Fold that in half. Oh man, we'll crease this one afterward with our ruler. Okay, there we go. Now, I'm gonna clip these down in place. And a pocket is kind of fun because, I don't know about you guys, but when we go on road trips, my kids seem to accumulate all sorts of little souvenirs and treasures and, I don't know, little paraphernalia. So this would be fun to keep it in there as they're writing their journals, or, you know, it doesn't have to be for a journal, just for anything. Okay, I'm sewing about, I don't know, 1/8 of an inch over from the edge here. Do a little forward and back stitch, and then sew right down. When you get to the end, just pivot and turn. Now, if you find that your stitch length is too short, it might feel like it's kind of perforating the paper. You can always increase your stitch length just a little bit, which is great if you're sewing with some of the plastic things and different type of textures that we're gonna do. Pivot and turn, go back up, do a back stitch, and then I'm gonna actually flip this over and sew one more time, because sometimes I find that when I'm sewing with cardstock, the bobbin thread just starts to look kind of a little, not uneven, but it would just be nice to sew one more time on the other side of the paper. And plus it kind of adds a cool look. Like you could use some colored thread here, or just adds a little pop of color. Okay, now we're gonna grab our paper. Again, I'm gonna do about 5 sheets. Fold it in half, and just do the same thing. We'll sew it in place. Okay, let's take these off. Trim all my little threads off. And fold it again. And this one definitely needs another crease with the ruler. There we go. I love using this kind of brown paper bag cardboardy stuff because it's really fun to take a Sharpie, draw on it, make a cool design, stuff like that. And there's our little pocket. How cute is that? Super fun. Put little things right inside of there. Okay, let's try another option. What if you wanted to sew with this fun piece of pineapple-y plastic? Well, that's easy too. We'll fold both of these in half. And I cut the pineapple just slightly bigger because this is so much thicker, having these 2 layers for my cover. Oh, that is hard to press down. Okay, now for these, I might actually sew these together first, just to make sure they're staying together. Add my paper, sew them together, done. Another option. What if we round the corners? That might be kind of fun. Take a spool of thread, or something round, but a thread spool is pretty much perfect. And you just want to draw little rounded corners here. Just like that. Then you can cut these out with your paper scissors. You don't want to cut paper with your fabric scissors because that can kind of dull the edges of your scissors. Okay, there we go. Take my sheets of paper. And I really like how these rounded corners look because it adds kind of like this professional, sort of classy look. I mean, it was so simple. All we did was trace and cut, but it just looks kind of like, wow, how did she do that? Okay, clip it. And then we're gonna cut our paper after we sew it, just so that everything's in place and it looks really nice and flush together. And now, let's trim off these little edges right here. Take my scissors, just trim right along there. These are really great to keep in your purse. If you need to keep little notes, ideas that come to mind, or sewing things, whatever. There you go, cute little rounded corners. Okay, now I want to show you one more really fun thing with some leather ties and elastic. Okay, let's say that you want to add a little cute leather tie or a ribbon tie or a bow, something like that. Well, at Joann, you can also find all sorts of cute trims. They have leather in these little packages. They have elastic, yellow elastic, fold over glitter elastic. There are tons of options. So first, let's do a little leather tie. Okay, I'm gonna use this sparkly gold cardstock right here. Fold it in half first. Okay, and then I'm gonna cut my leather straps. I have 2 here that I already cut about 12 inches long. And I'm just gonna center it as best as I can in the middle. You can measure if you want to, but I just like to kind of eyeball it and go. I'm having it overhang about 1 inch. And then go to your sewing machine. This leather is pretty skinny, so I just am gonna do 1 little line back and forth a couple times. There we go, that's it. Do the other side. And there you go, you have 2 little ties. Sew your paper inside, tie it up in a little bow. It just looks really cute. And my kids are at this age now where sometimes they, don't want you to peek at whatever they're drawing or working on, and then trim the excess, and you're good. Okay, now let's do one with elastic. This is a really fun way to embellish your little book, and it's useful because it comes off and there's your little book inside. Joann sells really fun elastic, and I'm gonna use this gold fold over elastic here. Taking my paper, and I want to measure this to be the length of my book plus about 1/4 of an inch. Not very much. And then I'm going to sew my elastic together first. So overhang it about 1/4 of an inch. Come to your machine. Sew down like that. Okay, now fold our cardstock in half. Let's make sure that it's tight enough. That looks great. If it wasn't tight enough, you could make it a little tighter. You get the idea. Okay, now let's sew it into place. I'm gonna sew it in one spot right along the binding, but I'm not gonna put this seam right here because that might be a little bit bulky. So I'm gonna shift that over a little bit to the back, and now I'm gonna sew right here. Let's just go straight to your machine. Okay, sew back and forth a few times. And there you go. Now you would sew your paper inside along the same line there. And when you're done, you have your little elastic that goes around. Super fun, super cute. If you wanted to use this skinny elastic, it can be a little bit difficult to sew these 2 pieces together. So what I did was, instead of sewing it, I tied a little knot, and then I sewed it to the binding right there. And there you go. Let's look at all the different books that we made. Look at all these really fun books that we made in such a short amount of time. Super easy, super quick. I think I'm gonna keep this one in my purse when I have some bright ideas. And here's another fun idea that you could do. You could add some graph paper inside. My son loves Minecraft, he would love to color in this. Or if you're a quilter, you could do some quilting designs in there, all sorts of different things. I'm excited to show these to my kids because we're going on another summer trip, and I hope that I can get them to write in their little journals again. We'll see. For more ideas and tutorials, check out my website, madeeveryday.com. And for all of your craft, scrapbooking, and other sewing needs, head to your local Joann store or go to joann.com. I'll see you next time. Bye.